Uko kuno aho pano mama wanna get it nice. I know food I miss so I know food I tell I know kaya marigi kama kwetu tikom kwetu tikom upusa sai kama kwe ano kaya marigi
kamba kwe uyo ano tara mari ano kaya mari garai mamunzu paninya panu.
Right, 28 September 2022, and today I'm joined by my usual guest, Dr. Feddious Mutenheri. How are you, Doc?
Gambakwe, I'm very well, and a very good evening to our viewers. It's been quite long, Gambakwe.
Okay, fantastic. So, Doc, today I want us to quickly go through the issue of the 1-year presidency of President Hakainde Hichilema. I think he's probably the most popular African president at present. And I want us to look at his presidency very, very quickly. Why do you think President Hakainde Hichilema has been accepted so widely compared to, remember when he came in, we talked about this. Why do you think he's been accepted so widely all over the world?
Okay, Gambakwe, I will talk about probably 5 things that has been outstanding about President Hakainde Hichilema, but probably just let me quickly highlight the background in which he got in, because it's in order to understand the success that Zambia is going through now, one has to paint a picture of the prevailing situation, of course, when he got into power just over a year ago, as you rightly said. Obviously, there was a crippling debt of actually more than 12 billion. They said it was between 12 and 16 billion when he got in. There was a debilitating unemployment rate amongst the youth. And as you know, that there is a higher population of the youth there. The economy was contracting by about 5% even by 2021 when he got into power. There was galloping in inflation, just as in Zimbabwe, though theirs was at 20%, but those digits are not healthy for a country. Of course, stinking corruption in Zambia when he got in, rampant corruption, and above all that, if you want to look at it, there was so much economic mismanagement and inefficiency within the public service when he got in. If you want to bring it to similarities with Zimbabwe, again, under President Lungu, there was so much consolidation of executive power through unnecessary constitutional amendments, use of repressive measures against critics, and there was the result was, of course, the international community, such as the United Kingdom, Finland, and other countries withholding aid to Zambia under President Lungu. There was conflation of party and state. There was the co-optation of independent institutions into the party structures, and there was that confusion. And like I've already said, and such as in Zimbabwe, again, there was the co-optation of public sector jobs along partisan lines. Of course, talk of resource nationalism within the copper belt, for political expedience. All those were problems that were in Zambia when President Hakainde Hichilema got into power. But what did he do, which has found him favor, like you rightly said? Obviously, the first thing is that he developed a clear strategy, a clear strategy of fixing the economy and its debt, which I said was ballooning between 12 and 16 billion by the time he got in. So he committed to a better fiscal management policy and accountability, which are very important aspects if you want to stabilize an economy such as the one in Zambia. because remember, there was so much discontent amongst the Zambians because of the economic situation. And secondly, I will actually build up on these points. And secondly, of course, he committed to the rule of law. He committed to the rule of law by way of talking to the Zambians about the need for laws to be followed, to repeal all laws that were endemic to the state, such as the cybersecurity bills and stuff like that. So he has committed to that. Not only that, he has committed to an open, democratic, if you like, environment in which he has shown greater commitment to civil liberties of the people, unlike in President Lungu's time, where he himself was arrested 15 times, and put to jail. He, on the other hand, he has committed to civil liberties. He has stopped the violent culture with impunity that was now rampant in Zambia under, you remember what they called the cadres that operated in bus stations and in the markets there in Zambia. So he stopped all that. So basically, he made sure that the climate of fear and lawlessness in Zambia disappeared. And this is what we have seen. The other point, probably number 3, is that of the improvement. And look, he has done this for the improvement in the dialoguing between the public, if you like, and the presidency. President Hichilema has got such a good rapport with the public in Zambia. In fact, he engages them. He is not scared to go to a press conference and address journalists, and journalists ask him difficult questions. He goes to the radio station where he accepts calls from the generality of Zambians. And that is important when you are in the presidency. And he has done that very, 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 very well. And lastly, but not least, of course, is that he has repositioned Zambia as a credible country on the world stage. When he goes out there, he has literally sanitized that country. When he speaks, we recently saw him at the UN General Assembly. We have seen him in the European Parliament. When he talks, there is an aura of respect, simply because he has stuck to the promises he has made to the Zambians. But still, going back to fixing the economy, you would see that he has put up in the 2022 budget a very, very positive and bold budget, and he has followed up on those things. Remember, he promised that he would recruit 30,000 teachers. He said he would recruit 11,000 healthcare workers. But not only that, he has maintained social safety nets by increasing social expenditure amongst the Zambians. Look, he has managed to support small businesses. He has done quite a lot of what he has promised, decentralizing resources. The CDFs, the Constituent Development Fund, he has increased it from, I think, between 90,000 to about 1.4 million. And he has decentralized all those resources so that people within provinces look after their own, development. Free education. He has given free education in all public schools. That is, any president. And remember, after the election, he was well received, and he brought in the confidence within the economy. And because he brought in the confidence in the economy, look what the international community did. He has now received about 1.3 billion in IMF loan. But even last year, when he just got in, he had been given a special drawing rights of against a similar amount of 1.3 billion, which has stabilized Zambia, which is what the Zambians wanted in their economy. Look, Look, his appointments in his government were very credible. You look at the appointment of the finance minister, a very well respected person. His name, I think, is Situmbeko or something. And he also appointed a reserve governor who was internationally acclaimed gentleman. His name is Denny Kalealia. And this guy has stuck to his portfolio. He has appointed a treasury secretary who actually has been instrumental in Zambia getting this IMF debt debt relief, and the fact that his government has managed to negotiate a debt restructuring with the international world, it shows you of a president who has come into power not as a master but as a servant of the people. And he is focused. His focus is on working for the people of Zambia. And we know that he is fighting corruption a lot. And though they are accusing him that he is being vindictive, but obviously he is trying to get back all the money that was stolen under the PF party. So a conglomerate of all these things that President Hakainde Hichilema has done has, of course, earned him a good name. And in fact, he has become such an example for most African countries to follow, Gamba.
Okay. So, Doc, I think you have covered everything, and I'm very happy with what you have said. Let's look at what President Hakainde Hichilema has not done. Is there something that he needs to do? Let me give you an example. He has visited South Africa. He has had a lot of presidents coming to his country to visit. He has met the United States president. He has not visited Zimbabwe. Do you think he should do that? What else should you do?
Look, Gambakwe, President Gambako is, sorry, not you, President Hichilema. President Hichilema is just a year into his presidency, just a year, and look how he has strengthened the Zambian economy. I mean, it's on the path to recover. Of course, you need to give him 2 to 3 years to cover much. But look, today the Zambian kwacha is the best performing currency in the world, actually, not only in Africa, but in the world. Of course, President Hichilema, as foreign policy, I've been looking at it. It seeks to foster good relations with the neighbors, particularly those in SADC, which include Zimbabwe and others. But he has been clear about what his wishes are, and in his recent BBC interview, he clearly said that leaders who kill their people, leaders who violate their people, should not be allowed to run for office. Leaders who suppress their people's liberties, leaders who loot people's money, should not be allowed to run their countries. And we know where those words were aimed at. And he obviously, for the person that he is, I would say, from my opinion, he would not like to be seen to be hobnobbing with those that have been seen to be repressing their people. Look at his inauguration. He made a very bold statement by inviting opposition leaders, which included Advocate Nelson Chamisa. And that was a bold statement of what he envisages, what his foreign policy objective would be to foster and encourage democratic participation within the region. And it is also up to Zimbabwe, because Zambia is a very important neighbor. Look, they are beginning to even export their own food to Zimbabwe. Out of the recent survey by UN agents, Zimbabweans actually, we have got about 5 million Zimbabweans who are suffering starvation. And Zambia is one such country that is, giving us food. Remember, most farmers who ran away from Zimbabwe have been doing well down there. And I think, to answer your question directly, there is more that he will have to do, of course. But let's give him time. Let's give him time. This is still early days as well. But he has done well in these very early days.
Okay. I want to ask you one last question.
Yeah.
A legislator in Zimbabwe has been under arrest for a very long time, Job Scala. And there's been petitions within Zimbabwe. If you read the newspapers today, it's in there. I covered that story a few weeks back. Do you think someone like President Hichilema has approached the leadership in Zimbabwe to say, why do you have this legislator in prison for so long? Is that something that he should be doing as a new type of leader in this region?
Look, President Hichilema does not have to be dragged into issues that are purely sovereign issues, which are purely issues to be dealt by the administrators in Zimbabwe. But there is no doubt that it is the Zimbabwean public administrators themselves who are doing themselves disfavor, not only disfavor from Zambia, who is an important neighbor, but to the whole international world. While on one hand, they seek re-engagement with the international world on the basis that Zimbabwe is open for business, that we are a new dispensation. On the other hand, they are literally doing things against that. How on earth do you have two members of parliament incarcerated for that long? I'm sure this is about the 107th day or so while they are in incarceration, and the other Nyatsipme 16 without proper justice being done. Look, it has always been said that bail is a constitutional right, and that one can only be incarcerated after being proven guilty. But what the Zimbabwean authorities are doing is that you have to be incarcerated even though you are innocent until you are proven guilty, which is so much unfair. And this obviously puts them as a pariah. And it is not upon Zambia to do that. But if President Hichilema could also diplomatically put pressure on his counterparts in Harare, I mean, that is a plus. But definitely there is no doubt that the region is watching, the international community is watching, while this government is shooting itself in the foot for whatever reasons. There is no doubt that the incarceration of Job Scala is political retribution for his abrasive approach to the regime, and it is a test on this new dispensation to say, are they willing to respect people's civil liberties? But what it shows is that they are not, and like I've just said, they continue to shoot themselves in the foot because they cannot continue on a very contradictory trajectory of what they stand for. What new dispensation is there if what was happening under President Mugabe still happens? What new dispensation is there when incarceration of political opponents continues, when violence continues to be meted on the CCC, when they want to go out there to canvass for political support? So here we are. ZANU-PF is still the old animal that we have known under President Mugabe.
Okay, Doc, the reason why I asked you this question is because obviously the tone has been set. Whatever is happening now, when the elections come in 2023, I think some people in the CCC, they think that President Hichilema is going to assist if there are any problems with the ZEC and so forth. But it's clear that he's not going to assist. Is this correct in my analysis that there won't be any change in terms of the way that Zambia engages in Zimbabwe? They will just continue to play a hands-off approach on Zimbabwe.
I know, but Gambakwe, that is your own pronouncement that the CCC expects President Hichilema to assist or to intervene, whichever way. I've never heard them say that, but it is a common knowledge in the region that President Hichilema has set a new way of doing politics. That's why you asked me, why hasn't he gone to Zimbabwe up until now? That is a question actually that the Zimbabwean authorities should be asking themselves. And for the CCC, I think one thing that they should be happy about, and they would be happy about, is that their president, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, was invited to the inauguration, which was actually a sign from the Zambian authorities that they are willing to support democratic processes within the region. That was a bold statement, and don't underestimate that. And for me, that is good enough. That is good enough assistance to the cause in Zimbabwe, because he has been in the trenches for a very long time. 5-6 times he has run and lost elections in Zambia. And he knows what it means to be within the democratic trenches. And make no mistake that probably what you think is that President Hichilema has to be seen to be standing on a podium and call on President Mnangagwa to say, please release political prisoners. No, he's not going to do that. But there are various diplomatic ways and various methods of support that democratic oriented governments can assist, and particularly there won't be anything wrong with a regional counterpart such as the Zambians assisting the democratic movement in Zimbabwe. So while the CCC has not at all pronounced that they expect President Hichilema to intervene, but President Hichilema himself, through his policies, has shown that direction, that he means business, and he means democratic business. He means the rule of law. He means the creation of democratic environment within the region. And only time will tell. Only time will tell what will happen if Zimbabwe continues on this destructive path.
Okay, Dr. Feddious Mutenheri, very, very interesting discussion. And I think you are the most popular person in Zimbabwe, the most popular doctor in Zimbabwe at the moment.
Oh,
and you're not a doctor of medicine.
Those are very kind words from you, Gambakwe.
Yeah. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Is there anything else you want to say before we close?
Gambakwe, safe to say that the Zambian example is proving to be a very success story, and for which we wish them well. I would advise the administrators in Zimbabwe to take a leaf, the administrators in Zimbabwe to take notes on what it means to be public servants, which is what they are supposed to be, that they should put people first before self. They should be in those positions to serve the people. And when you serve the people, you start to behave like a father in a home. You protect. Even if you may think that one of your children or so is a bit wayward, but you are supposed to be seen to be a father But look, they are failing to do that. But Zambia is a very good example. And President HH, when he talks, there is no doubt that there is a statesman right in there, that there is someone who is showing how public administration should be done in a country. And surely at this rate, I'm telling you, Zambia will be one of the fastest growing economies, not only in Africa but in the world. And those at Shake House should really take notes. And we say this with all due respect. And the looting that has been happening, the exposition of a lot of scandals, of the laptop scandal, which is the recent one, and many others. It's a shame to a country which in 1980 was described as a jewel of Africa. And indeed, the dilapidation of our infrastructure, the dilapidation of the service sector in Zimbabwe. I mean, it's a shame. It has brought shame to all of us. We wish our leaders in Zimbabwe today can look back, retreat, and repent and come back to the Zimbabweans and say, hey, we want to take this country in a new direction. And Zambia is a good example, and it is showing us how it should be done. And we say to President HH, well done for breathing for blowing a breath of fresh air into the sub-Saharan region, into the SADC region, that somewhere within our countries there are leaders who can lead us in the right direction. And in Zimbabwe, I think the advocate Nelson Chamisa has already lifted his hand, has lifted his finger to say, I want to be counted. And I think given a chance, this region will rise up.
Right, Doc. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I hope to see you very soon when you're here in SA. In fact, yes. I'm going to be moving to Zimbabwe within the next month. So I'm making my final move from South Africa this month.
Are you moving for good? Moving for good to Zimbabwe?
Yes. I'm after 16 years of staying here in South Africa, I'm going to be moving back to Zimbabwe. I've packed up everything here, and I've closed all my stuff here. So it's gonna be a new chapter altogether for me and for
Interesting. No. But so, all the best, Gambakwe, and I think with your media experience and towards the election, you should be a very useful platform for a democratic revolution, Gambakwe. And I really want to wish you well. I always, like I've always told you, I really admire your engagement and asking the difficult questions. And I hope when you are back in Zimbabwe, this platform, and as you are going to announce on 1st January, by the way, what you will be up to in the election, I hope and I believe that this platform would be a platform for development, a platform for democratic engagement, robust political, economic debates, which will serve to, to push our country forward.
Thank you very much, Doctor, and good night to everybody.
Good night, Gambakwe.
Uyo uko kuno abo pano mamuona kere nai anovura meso anovura nzeve anokaya marigi gambakwe.com burengere.com usasarire gambakwe anogaya mari
gambakwe uyo anotara mari anogaya mari garai mamunzwa pane nyaya pano zvamunoda kunzwa zvinotaurwa pano madiko kumunzwa mugovane.com gambakwe vanogaya mari vanotaura mari vanosiya mari gambakwe vanotaura feya kuti pamberi zvichafamba sei vanomuterere zvikubatsirei mukufamba kwenyu zvikubatsirei mirai ndikudze kuti chokwadi pano chizere gambakwe vanogaya cash vanopa mafacts vanotaura straight vane evidence vane confidence plus intelligence
entertainment current affairs and news gambakwe.com usasarire gambakwe anogaya mari